And you're going to give me £7?
Yes.
Oh, what a wonderful fellow you are. I do like people who give me £7.
This unique style of animation puts real words into the mouths of plasticine models. The conversation was recorded at a Salvation Army hostel in the centre of Bristol and was taken from real life. But what happened to it then was the work of two young Bristol filmmakers, the same people who created Morph. That's Dave Sproxton and Peter Lord, who explained to me how the animation's done.
Well, more or less like this. So I've got a model here which is plasticine mainly, and I move it a fraction, thus. I take a frame on the movie camera, I move it another fraction, I take another frame, so on. So the weeks pass, and eventually, when you show all those frames one after the other, you've got an effective movement, so the hand appears to move smoothly up.
How many movements like that, then, in a 5-minute film, say?
There are 24 movements like that in a second. You can work it out. I can't work it out. An awful lot, anyway. I mean, it's into the hundreds, thousands.
How small can the movements become, in fact?
They can be tiny. I mean, he could easily drum his fingers on his face, like that, which, I mean, is tiny little movements like this sort of thing.
And the eyes? Can the eyes move as well?
The eyes move. You see, the face is actually full of character. I'm very into sort of acting with the face. If I just show you something rather obvious here, the eyes are actually beads, and then immediately you've got a joke, you know, this is something to laugh at.
What about the recording process? Because people must be aware, surely, that they are being recorded.
Yeah. Most people we record are aware of it, and you go on the basis that they forget, which they do. That one at the Salvation Army hostel, for example, we recorded 3 hours there. The guy behind the counter had a mic on, but the customers coming in didn't know what was going on at all, so they just spoke entirely naturally. And the guy behind the counter was probably hamming it up a bit for the recorder, but not much.
There are times when you wish, oh my God, if only they'd said that, you know, to follow that line, it would have been great. On the other hand, there's no way you could write the stuff that people actually say, all the sort of ums and ahs and jitterings. And just when you've got a single writer writing, you've only got one mind behind the dialogue, and you can see his thought processes normally going in a very straight line, unless it's very sort of Pinteresque. But in real life, each individual character has a mind of their own, and often what somebody says sets off a completely different train of thought in their mind, and they come out with something almost totally random. We also use a technique of having written everything down, of cutting it up and rearranging it or whatever. Sometimes you just take a whole slab of dialogue and that's it. At other times you find that you do want to change it a bit, you want to cut it about a bit.
That's the sort of the closest you get to a writing stage, is you've got 3 hours of sound, and somehow you have to select 5 nice minutes out of that lot and then write a story around it. And again, the Salvation Army hostel, there was just a lovely 5-minute segment, a real story in there, which you could take out and use. Whereas with the Foyer Girls, you had trouble because they just nattered on for like an hour and a half, totally inconsequentially. So we had to make an inconsequential film out of it.
I listened to this train. A young married couple discovered their hotel bedroom had a two-way mirror through which a watcher in a secret room could see them in bed.
You associate with them and you sympathise with them really as if they were people. I mean, the voices were people, of course, but you actually get to associate with the puppets, because I actually animating them, I'm acting, really. And some people, you take a dislike to them, and you just know that you're going to, take the mickey out of them a bit. That's what I think we do. I think we take the mickey, and sometimes that is a bit on the edge of being cruel, yeah.
Every day there are a million and one conversations which you think that would make a beaut, But we've done, we've done about 8 of them now. And that's quite a lot. We're beginning to think we've kind of wrung it dry. There are other, obviously, approaches we could take. We can make them even more surreal and even more crazy. But I think you then begin to lose the kind of whole point of using real conversations.
You really get to analyse speech to the ultimate degree, because we, making the films, we listen to these things over and over and over again. And suddenly, when things hit you, you realise that nobody is listening to the other person.